Afternoon. Welcome to this edition of the 411 Talk Zone Radio Show. My name is Leon Jones. Today's topic, we're going to talk about the Democrats never accepting defeat during this election. The Democrats are never going to accept defeat for the election results. Now, as you know, when it comes to politics, the presidents win via the Electoral College. You need 270 votes to win. What has happened is the same process that we had in 2000, except when George Bush and Al Gore ran in 2000, the results were much closer. The results with the Electoral College count in this election shows that Donald Trump has 306, that Hillary Clinton's 232. Well, Jill Stein, Green Party candidate, Jesse Jackson, and some other experts, or I'm going to say Democratic operatives, want recounts in some of the battleground states that Democrats normally win. And we're talking about Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. Now, Pennsylvania was called for Trump at around 2:45 a.m. election night. The problem is the Democrats cannot accept defeat. They want to try to change the policy to their favor. It doesn't work like that. You're not going to influence the Electoral College to switch votes for Hillary. I don't care how many recounts you have. If the voting system doesn't work, go to all paper ballots. That way everybody bubbles in the candidate they want, they put it in the machine. It's like a Scantron sheet. Because I'm hearing, well, some of the states had voting machines that were electronic. Well, whose fault is that? The Electoral College results were Donald Trump's favor. And he won by a landslide, almost 80 Electoral College votes. Hillary Clinton conceded the contest on that day. There was no way she could win. Once Trump won Florida, he won Wisconsin and Ohio, she was toast. But you've had a lot of protests of left-wingers who don't like the election results. And I want everybody to understand that if you're voting Democrat, you need to see this melee that's going on. Because if this is the way one side acts when they don't get their way, they shouldn't be in power in the first place. Now, do I like everything that the Republicans stand for? Absolutely not. But at least when President Obama won the election results twice, Republicans dealt with it. What happened, this is when the Tea Party was formed, and they had some influence during the midterm election of 2010. Well, if the Democrats want to change something, start a movement where you can bring up liberal candidates to run for House and Senate in 2010. You're not going to influence the election because you didn't get your way. That's not how the system works. And a number of you have raised money so you could have a recount. December 19th is when the electors actually vote for the president. Because tomorrow, Michigan is going to certify their votes. There needs to be no recount just because Donald Trump won by a small margin. What, are we going to recount every state? If you're going to do that, the state that Hillary Clinton won, New Hampshire, she didn't win by that much, by less than a half a percentage point. Why don't they go ahead and recount that? If we're going to have Democrats running around like retarded children or immature children because they don't get their way, then they shouldn't be allowed to vote. Then we should have just the Republicans run the country. Would that be fair? No, that wouldn't be fair. The bottom line is they do not know how to take defeat. If you don't like Donald Trump, I understand. what you Democrats should have done was waken some of your base and gotten them to vote. You had roughly 1 million African Americans who didn't vote. You had Hispanics who didn't vote. That's part of your base. Well, again, and I'm going to repeat this as I did on previous videos, it was a referendum against feminism, gay marriage, because a lot of us in the country don't believe in the way California and New York does business. In fact, those two areas have a lot of sanctuary cities. New York City, San Francisco, Los Angeles are sanctuary cities. Now, what a sanctuary city is, it's a city that you cannot ask an illegal for documentation to see if they are illegal aliens. So they can come in anytime they want and even cause crimes. You can't question their nationality. But what the Democrats want, they want to change the process so we can put left-wingers in power. We don't need tyrannical people in this country. And if you left-wingers don't like the results, why don't you go north to Canada? They're a socialist country. Why don't you go to Cuba? Fidel Castro just passed away. Or why don't you go to Denmark, where you get your free health care, your free college, all the programs that you've dreamed of in America, they have them over those countries. You don't want to do that. You know why? Because you have freedom of speech here, and we accept freedom of speech. And we accept freedom of protest because we have a representative government. But the bottom line is the process must work both ways. If you continue to have this immature attitude, well, you're exposing yourselves on who you are. And again, a lot of you have come from the college ranks, and I've done videos on how college is an indoctrination instead of education. And you professors out there need to start teaching students about government, and you all should be ashamed of yourselves. You have PhDs, and you're supposed to represent academia, represent professionalism in college. You're sending our students out here dumb as hell because they don't understand how the political process works. And I'm sick and tired of looking at the news and Democrats continue to say, we're not getting a fair shot. Voting machines, all kinds of melee. Republicans and whoever voted against Hillary Clinton, you got to take the gloves off and you got to fight. Because this is going to continue to happen if a Republican wins the presidency. Because the Democrats have this illusion that we're going to go back to living in slave times. That's nonsense. If you're African American, Obama, he really didn't do anything for us anyway. He didn't represent me. He didn't represent a lot of black folk. But he took our votes for granted. He helped the gays out. He helped women out. Hillary Clinton wasn't going to do anything for me as a black man. So that make it harder for me. I'm glad Hillary Clinton lost. I didn't endorse any candidate, but I don't like what she stood for. But at the bottom line, you got to wake your folks up to go out and vote so we don't have this problem. Let me get this to you one more time. You ignorant folks out there. The Electoral College determines who the president is going to be, not the popular vote. Because we didn't have the Electoral College. Now, I'm not saying the system is 100% fair, because it isn't. But it's to give every state a representation in the process to help elect the president. Because if you didn't have it, California and New York will put in a liberal every election, and then we go down the drain with not only our economics, but socially. If you look at it, we are going down the drain. 20-something years of political correctness. The economy has gone down. Taxes have gone up. We have a lot of division, old versus young, black versus white, men versus women, you name it. And the identity politics that the Democrats use when it comes to race baiting to alleviate the right from having their opinions about minorities and women. I don't have to agree with what a person says, but we do have free speech, or we're supposed to have free speech. And we're supposed to utilize the process with knowledge. We're going to go around and have all these silly recounts because of the 2000 election. That's going to be a problem. And I want you Republicans to take notice. When you have important elections, even when they come down to the midterm elections, get your folks out to vote. Then you don't have this problem. Mitt Romney lost his campaign by 3,000. You know why? The Republicans didn't get out to vote, and they knew it. He wasn't a good candidate. Yes, we have a right to vote. But if you don't like the candidate, you're going to do two things. You're either going to sit home or you're going to vote for a lesser candidate, like the Green Party candidate, Jill Stein, and Gary Johnson, who was a libertarian candidate. But what your Democrats need to vote for are your House and Senate members. And you know what you're doing? Since they're Democrats, and if some of these House and Senate Democrats are trying to put on these recounts as well, and they support it, got something for them. It's going to be 24 of you who are going to be up for re-election in 18. And you're already Democrats behind in the House and Senate already. You don't want to get too far behind, because all they have to do, if the Republicans get 60 votes, whatever they put through, you can't even filibuster. Because they're going to have what they call a cloture vote, which means you get 60 votes. Right now, they can have a majority vote, but you can still filibuster. But you better tell your supporters that it's game over. Wait to vote Democrats in the Senate and the House. Because your career is also riding on the people who are displaying this abhorrent behavior. It's politics. Democrats, you cannot have your way. What are we going to recount every state? Do you want us to have the election all over again? Because it's going to come out to be the same result. Or it could be worse. And what I see is a lot of dishonesty going on here. A lot of childish behavior. Now, I've always sought the Democrat Party as the party of the plantation anyway. Now, I'm not saying the Republican Party is great. The Republican Party is the Democratic light. Now, you did have some Democrats like Jesse Helms and Strom Thurmond switch into the Republican Party. But you also had your white segregationists like J. William Fulbright, George Wallace, the KKK, known as the Dixiecrats, who were Democrats, Southern Democrats. So, for all you African Americans out there, stop allowing the Democratic Party to take your vote for granted. Democrats, you need to understand that this is the political process. You don't like the political process when it doesn't work your way. Now, had it worked your way, nothing would have been said. It's because you want a left-wing agenda. You're trying to actually transform this country into something that we don't want. And that was what the referendum was. It was a referendum on socialism, feminism, all those tyrannical isms that don't make this country great. Now, when you hear the term from Donald Trump, I want to make this country great again. Some people have this idea, and some people, are particularly the Democratic left, who think that Donald Trump is going to take us back into slavery. It's not going to take us back into slavery. What he wants, and what a number of us who have half a brain want, is to be able to live in peace. Everybody does not want liberalism. If you like the liberal ideas, move to New York and move to California. If you look at the country outside the coast, the people who voted from the red states are basically conservative, and they're hardworking people, and they're evangelical Christians. They take pride in their country. This country's had a lot of problems. But it's going to be worse when the Democrats are trying to transform the democratic process of the election. In fact, we're not a democratic country. We're a democratic republic. And the reason why we're a democratic republic, because we seek balance. That's why you have two parties. But if you don't want one party in power, you have to be vigilant and start voting your party into power so it can balance. Now, do I like all Republicans in power? No. Do I like all Democrats in power? No. But we are a parliamentary system. And this was established in England. The forefathers, when they utilized the system, knew what they were doing. They knew what they were doing with the Electoral College. Because things like this or issues like the popular vote would come up. They saw it 100 years ago, 200 years ago. And it happened in 2000. It was recent. But we cannot get to the point to where the Democratic Party or even the Republican Party has a fit and we have to recount everything to try to suit them. You're not going to tilt the election. So I'm advising each and every Democrat, step back and get ready for 2018 and 2020. Another 2 years, we'll be right back out there on the election front in a primary. Find a candidate that's a centrist candidate. Somebody who's charismatic, somebody who believes in family values, and rights for everybody. You don't want an extremist. Now, I don't agree with everything that Donald Trump says, but he's not a true Republican either. Now, Mike Pence, his vice president, is a true Republican. Donald Trump is a centrist. But everybody doesn't like Donald Trump. You don't have to agree with. I don't agree with Obama on any of his policies. But I respected him, and he's still my president, regardless. But see, the Republicans showed more class. Look at the protest that the Tea Party had. When they didn't like the results, they got Tea Party candidates to run for office. And they won. Even if you didn't like the Tea Party. That's what the Democrats need to do. They need to get candidates that share their point of view. But the problem is, you have to convince the rest of America or the rest of individuals in your state to believe your philosophies. And unfortunately, a lot of us don't believe in liberal policies. They're not good for the country. We don't live in an egalitarian society. We don't live where women should be getting special rights. Gays should be getting special rights. Blacks. We don't. Now, are things fair? Should we help minorities? Absolutely. But we don't need to put minorities in a quota system so minorities could be represented in places of employment. Just because you're a woman, you're not owed anything. And I believe that individuals are crying that we won't vote for a woman. It's not that we won't vote for a woman. We didn't vote for Hillary Clinton because she wasn't the candidate that America wanted. But you cannot tilt the election in her favor. Because what's going to happen It's going to be a civil war, and it could be a bloodbath. So I'm just telling you, Democrats need to be a little more responsible in how you are taking this process. 4 years comes and goes quickly. I remember when the first 4 years of Obama came and left. And the second 4 years. And you Democrats, what you need to do, talk to the Obama campaign to find out how to run a good campaign. Obama ran a hell of a campaign both times. But if you want the candidate, have a candidate who's centrist. Or he's running on centrist policies instead of left-wing policies. And I want to say to you Republicans, you also need to accept results, which basically you do. But we have new kinds of Republicans who might try to shame the same type of shenanigans. We don't want that to happen. We want to keep the process as it is. And if you don't agree with it, you try to get Congress to change it. They're not going to do that. Because if Congress were to change something, we would have had term limits a long time ago for Congress people. It'll never happen. So I just want everybody to look at this video and become more educated and get involved with politics. Find out what everybody on your level is doing. I'm talking about your judges on your local level, your county execs. Individuals should be worried more about that than the president. Because the people at the local level, they're really the ones that are dealing with your taxes. But a lot of you don't know that. Because you want to make Hillary the first woman. Sorry, her policies aren't that good. She lost. Accept it. And get ready for 2020. But you can also help yourself, Democrats, if you get ready for 2018. Because remember, again, you got 24 seats coming up in the Senate. You don't want to lose the Senate badly. Because if you do lose the Senate, and that's still in Donald Trump's first term, then you really have hurt yourself. You really have gone backwards. So that's my message to you all. But do a little studying and stop having recounts for every state that's close. You can go over votes many, many times. And sometimes you Democrats have dead people voting. I remember when Ellen Sauerbrei, Paris R. Glendening in the state of Maryland were running for government or governor. Found out that dead people were voting. And that's the problem with you Democrats. You're not honest people. You're left-wing part of the Democratic Party. You're really trying to transform this nation into a socialist or tyrannical type of country. This is not how people are here. I don't want to live in a country like that. Again, if you don't like this country, go to one of those countries. Because a lot of you have never been to those countries. But you want your country to be like those countries. Just because a policy sounds good, it doesn't mean it is good. The American people spoke. They came out in droves on the Republican side. The Democrats didn't have that. So let this election go. Be adults about the results and start preparing for 2020. That's my commentary for this edition of the 411 Talk Zone radio show here on Sunday, November 27th, 2016. You can tune into the 401 Talk Zone radio show every Wednesday from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. on Blog Talk Radio. Guest call-in number is 215 383-5785. And if you like my videos, please share and subscribe to the 401 Talk Zone radio show so I can continue to bring you this quality information for educational purposes from a professional and mature perspective. Now, on this channel, we engage in education, knowledge. So I like everything to be kept positive. That's why we don't engage in drama or controversial issues. And if you have a business, a new channel or topic that you would like for me to discuss on Blog Talk Radio and or YouTube, please email me at lej6521@gmail.com. And if you have a comment, please leave it in the comment section. But make sure your comments are pithy. No bloviating or pettifogging. If you wish to opine. I wanted to say this for you African American YouTubers out there. Start supporting each other's channels. Now, what I'm going to do is post links to other brothers' channels under my YouTube videos. Because if we want to build this black sector of YouTube, we must support each other. So I'm following Brother Ringo's lead. So feel free to subscribe to Ringo TV Raw, Ron Wills, Angry Man, O'Shea Jackson, and some other YouTubers to whom I've subscribed to. Because collaboration in numbers makes us stronger. Until next time, again, my name is Leon Jones. Please be gentle, respectful to each other, and have a wonderful and blessed evening.